live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third week of the Oregon Coast Art Talk series. We are here for the State of the Arts Tillamook County panel discussion. My name is Tom Webb. I'm the director of the Newport Visual Arts Center for the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts. And I am live streaming from the Runyon Gallery at the Newport Visual Arts Center, right along the Oregon coast. It's a beautiful day. And again, welcome to all of you. I would like to thank the 5 panelists that we have here to talk about the arts on the Oregon coast in Tillamook County. And Christine Harrison is helping to lead our discussion today. Christine is a visual artist, and she is a painter, printmaker, and sculptor, and she's a founding member of Art Accelerated, which is a new nonprofit artist-based organization promoting the arts in Tillamook County. So thank you so much, Christine. I'll let you introduce our other panelists.
Well, welcome everybody. So Dennis Worrell is sitting next to me, also part of Art Accelerated and a painter and printmaker. And Christy Lombard has her pottery shop and studio in downtown Tillamook. Mary Roberts is with us from Hoffman Center in Manzanita, and Dana Holbert is here to as our South County representative. So that's and hopefully Seasons will join us soon from wherever she's located right now. So we were going to start with talking about pre and post COVID and what it has meant for your either your business or for your nonprofit. And I thought, Mary, you're North County. I thought we'd start from the north and go south and hear from you.
Well, thank you, Christine. Thanks for having me. So I'm from the Hoffman Center, which is in downtown Manzanita, and we serve the North Coast. And if I were to say what happened or what Hoffman was like pre-COVID and post-COVID, last year we had 8,400 visitors at the Hoffman Center. We put on a total of 257 hands-on workshops and 226 performances. So we had a total of 483 events going on at the Hoffman last year. And even just to say that out loud, honestly, it really makes me very sad. That is the truth. The COVID was just like falling off a truck. And Christine would know because Christine had a beautiful show in our gallery in March. It was open 1 week and that was it. And she didn't really get a chance to sell that fabulous art. After this started, we have slowly come to accept, I'm sure we're going to hear this from other people, that we need to move online, because at first, how long is this going to last, right? Maybe we don't have to do this. Maybe it'll just be a couple months. And that was an awakening, a slow awakening that we're now fully embracing. We have been moving programs online. Our facility simply can't handle safely crowds in the building. It's a relatively small building cut up into small spaces. We do have a gallery. We're limiting how many people are coming into the gallery to 5 guests and a host, and they need to wear masks and so on. And we are running online programs. I mean, there is some light in this, and I don't want to take up more time than I should. So Christine, I'm looking at you to let me know, give me the high sign. But what I would say is there is a little tiny silver lining in all of this, that some of our programs. So for example, we now have offered music appreciation, which was a big hit, and it was through Zoom. And we have offered a mosaic class for our horticulture program, a garden mosaic class that was attended by 175 people via Zoom. We have writing programs going on, art classes. It's a fraction of what we used to do, but it's encouraging. And we're trying lots of new things. We're now hosting a monthly, just started, our gallery manager, Dave Holt, is hosting a monthly artist talk. So artists get to talk about their art that's being shown in the gallery. So it's a slow reawakening, but learning lots of new things. Financially, it's huge. Financially, it's just, I can't even begin to describe what this is meaning to us. We're having to raise the money to keep alive. I'm sure I'm not alone in this. I would say one of the real hits is the hit on artists. That's who I really worry about. Last year, we paid $50,000 directly to artists, commissions, artists who had taught classes. And this year, that's going to be less than $10,000. That's money that is not going to support people in our county. These could be, because primarily that's who who teaches our classes and who shows in our gallery. We also have had to cut back a lot of our spending, obviously. So that has a big impact. Last year, we paid $30,000 to local contractors. This year, it'll be probably about half that. So the financial impact is real. So that's a quick update from the Hoffman. I do want to end though on a bright note. We are really committed to serving our community. And we will figure out how to do that. And we are figuring out new ways that I think people, I mean, how fun is it to have happy hour with an artist and you didn't even have to leave home? So there really are fun things to be had, but how this all evolves is really an unknown for us. So thank you.
Thank you. I would just add, from Art Accelerated, we had to make really hard choices in April because we had to close down for March and April. And our little nonprofit was renting space and thinking, we have a limited budget. We can't do any events. What do? We can't keep putting money out. Our landlord wasn't willing to work with us. He is a small business owner himself, and he was caught. So we just had to close our gallery and our space. Amazingly, we've been getting grants to help us do things in the community. We did a whole art kits for kids, and we're able to do 200 kits this summer that went out to kids in Tillamook County, which was, made us feel like we have a use right now. Yeah, artists are going to be hard hit. We're having, as part of the Sip and Shop in downtown, we had 35 people in February come to our reading, which meant other businesses they filtered out after hearing the readings and were visiting the other businesses downtown. So that's kind of cut off because we're not doing those kind of events at this point. So the only thing we've done this summer, we keep our online, we have a Zoom group, writers group meeting twice a month. But the only other thing we've been doing is some sketch crawls, which are outdoors, and a plein air painting class. I'm not sure where we're going to go for the fall, and we won't be, necessarily looking to rent the space again until we really can use it for classes and make it worthwhile so we can actually pay rent. You know, that's a big concern for us. So enough said about that. But Christy, why don't you talk about where you found yourself? I see Season has joined us. Hi, Season. So you'll be next. You can tell us next.
Hi, I am Christy Lombard, and as Christine said, I have both my pottery studio and a little storefront in downtown Tillamook. So pre-COVID, I had my best year ever last year. It was incredibly busy in my shop. I had lots of gallery opportunities thanks to both the Newport and Hoffman Center. So things were moving along pretty good. And even early in the year, it was surprising that traffic was decent. And then I shut down for 3 months. I shut down mid-March because my husband had come back from Scotland and he had to quarantine. I figured, well, then I might as well start quarantining as well. And then things just progressed pretty quickly from there. So I was closed until Tillamook reached phase 2. I wasn't convinced that we would make it. So I waited until phase 2 and reopened. But so basically for me, all my shows have been canceled. I tend to do fine art festivals and things in the summer. I have a big show in early spring in Portland, the ceramic showcase. That was the first one to be canceled. So that's a big hit for me. That's like right after I pay taxes. That's usually how I kind of get myself rolling in the year. That was disappointing, but understandable. So COVID, for me, the silver lining was that it finally forced me to get my product online. And it's something that I've needed to do for years and years and years, and never had the time because, you know, I'm a one-woman operation. So I finally had time. I had inventory sitting in my shop that wasn't going anywhere. And so I finally got my rear end gear and got that going. And that sustained me through those couple of months. I did decently well from sales. I'm fortunate that as an artist, I've been selling my work to the public for a long time. So I have a decent following of people. So they already knew about me. It wasn't like people had to find me online. I've had customers from all over the country who didn't have access to me before, but once I went online, now did. So that was really great. A lot of learning curves in there too. And then, yeah, I reopened in June. I reopened the same day the farmer's market opened in Tillamook. And it's been surprisingly busy. So Tillamook has seen a lot of traffic. I mean, the area has seen a lot of summer travelers. We're getting people from all over the country. I've had people in my shop from Pennsylvania, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Texas, I mean, everywhere. The usual Utah, Idaho, Washington, California, people are getting out. So my sales will be down, I'm sure, for the year. I don't have any of those checks coming in from galleries or shows that pay out, but sales out of my own shop are doing relatively fine. So it's kind of not, I'm sure, what a lot of people expect to hear, but it's been surprisingly busy. So, and now I just have the issue of wanting to maintain my online shop, but now running a busy in-person shop. So that's a little bit of a struggle. And then of course the difference is my shop is tiny. I can only have one family unit in my shop at a time. So I do have to turn people away. Sometimes they don't come back. You know, obviously people are wearing masks and all that, and I'm making them use hand sanitizer when they come in because people are touching things. But other than that, it feels relatively normal in some strange way. So yeah. That's my take.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad you're getting sales and that you're seeing the customers coming back in downtown. That's always good to hear. For you, Seasons?
I will basically concur, almost identical. I will say my sales are better than last year in the store. I actually had a pretty significant increase over last year this month, but I also attribute that to some of the changes. Like I've added some sort of price points that are getting my average sale up. So where I actually looked, I had less transactions than last year, but made more money. So that's great by me. But similarly, it's the web sales were early, like those were sort of the bridge, because I also kind of did the full, and then I did little micro open, but just a couple of days, and more like you can pick up your delivery and shop when you do kind of thing. But for the first little bit, but then I've just been open normal 5 days a week and very busy on a Tuesday even, but it's really like, what's great here is it's still 2 to 3 people at a time. So it all still feels very manageable within COVID, but yet it's kind of the same. Really, I have to like say what Christy said. Yes, like that's been my experience as well. I'm getting good tourists, and having now been in the community in both of our shops now for a couple of years, also locals know us as a resource. So I feel like there's plenty of days where I even, Jim and I were talking about, I'm like, at least a third is repeat local business, not tourists, people that are like, oh, I have a birthday, oh, I have a this, so I came to get X from you because I know that you have it, and so that's happening too, which is nice, and that feels more sustainable going forward through, and winter and all that, just knowing that that's happening as well. So yeah, that's been my experience. It's actually
good.
Yeah, and people, I'll say this too, I think people are, and I'm like this with this as well, we have the time to be more strategic about the money we're spending it and how we're spending it. So whether or not people have less money, there's still, this is the kind of thing they're spending it on, right? Like the people that are buying the art, they communicate to me that they're happy to be supporting art with the funds that they do have and with the funds that they are spending. That to them like worthwhile use of their money and for society, etc.
And for the local economy. That's really,
and they feel like if they're coming in, they should support it. Like there's also this like, okay, we've invaded your space in a COVID time, we need to be supportive of and that's why I feel like the mask thing, I'm getting zero, they're all ready to go, coming, they're like, okay, honey, I hear them outside, like, okay, do the thing, put your mask, they're all very respectful as well, which is nice.
Yeah, good. And Dana, what can you add? Dana?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, well, I am Dana Holbert. I am an artist and an educator in Pacific City, Cloverdale area. And I'm a member of the Nestucca Valley Artisans, and we usually have one big show at the end of August every year, and that's kind of a really important show for our community here. And of course, that was canceled. So so instead of doing that, I've joined the Pacific City Farmers Market 3 weekends, and that has gone well. I've sold 6 original paintings, some cards and prints, and so that's been a fun venue to be outside. There's another artist who has some stained glass, and she says she's doing just as well with the market this year as she did last year, so that's good to hear. I also have art at the River House Nestucca restaurant, and they opened up as soon as restaurants could open, and they have sold some paintings for me. So that's going well. Our Grateful Bread supports artists and has a variety of people hang on different walls, and they have been closed. So that has not been a venue for any of the art. We do have 2 galleries in town in Pacific City, the Rowboat Gallery, and I went in and talked to Judith Schlichtling yesterday, and they just recently reopened. So that's been a real hard hit for them. And she said a lot of their artists are older, so they don't really want to have any kind of event right now. She said the artists are very appreciative that they are open now. So that's good. Pacific City Gallery, I talked to Laura Schlott, and she said that I think as soon as they could open up, she opened up just on weekends rather than being open all week. But she said the weekends are just as busy basically as they were before. I've noticed we have a ton of people in town. They've even installed a sign that says there's not enough parking in Pacific City. I market my cards at both of our stores in town, and they go really fast. So there's a lot of people in town. So hopefully, the galleries, will be doing pretty well. Just trying to think if are there any other questions you have about our South County? Unfortunately, our little community arts project art camp couldn't go on.
Slug soup. Yeah.
Yeah, so that wasn't able to go on. So maybe some of them got some of your bags, I'm not sure, but we didn't have like any online version for that. I did notice that some of our artists in town, Lynn Wintermute, is teaching an online class through Currents Gallery in McMinnville. So I think artists are having to diversify, just like Christy said, she went online. An artist that was teaching in person is now teaching online. Instead of the artisans show, I kind of went outside and did the market. I actually have done a teeny bit more on Instagram and did get a commission from Instagram. And some of the younger artists in our community, I'm seeing like that do the surf art and stuff. They're really great at communicating on Instagram. And I know a young gal who's had quite a few commissions that way. That's kind of what I know about happening in this neck of the woods. I haven't really talked to Marilyn Burkhart has a gallery in Cloverdale. We have a few little galleries. And when I've gone by, I have not seen them open. So I'm not sure as far as how much they're open.
Before COVID, I thought she had closed. Maybe it was just for the season, but yeah, I'm not sure that she's opened.
And there's also the Goodwin Gallery, and I did see that was open the other day, but did not stop in. Seems to be kind of busy when I go through Cloverdale. There's some cars stopped, and people are out and about.
Well, the fact everybody's going to saying that the tourists are back, and probably because they're not leaving the country, and if they're driving, this is an easy place for a lot of people in the Western states to come to. But I'm seeing New York and New Jersey. So people are just wanting to travel, obviously. So I think there's a lot of people here. We see it on Highway 6 all the time, all the traffic, and coming from Portland. But I thought maybe we could talk a little bit. So I'm wondering if you all are seeing people from outside Tillamook, and in particular, how you're seeing your business changing in terms of, are you getting more people that are repeat customers from far away, or like Susan said, she's seeing local people making a point to come back. But I'm wondering, are we having a larger effect than just in Tillamook? Anybody? Yeah. Christy.
I'll raise my hand. Um, yes, I have had some customers that found me last year and sought me out again this year. So they are, I'm meeting a lot of people who regularly travel to this little neck of the woods, this little corner of the world. And once they know about you, then they would like to come back and support you again. I'm also running into a lot of people this year who have never been here before. And so what I think is going to be interesting is next year, if hopefully we're all sort of normally open again, it's going to make it really interesting because some people, they were like, well, normally we go to Canada, but we can't this year. So we came here and we really like it. And I said, well, prepare yourself to reserve early next year because normally there's a whole lot of Canadians down here right now and they aren't. So just as far as like, I'm curious what next year is going to look like with meeting so many people who are new to the area as well, seeing if they come back next year. But I have certainly had repeat customers. In particular, I have this couple from Florida. I've had one from Pennsylvania. So there's definitely people coming from elsewhere and purchasing again. And then like Seasons, I've had local people who really, I think, just wanted to help support local businesses during this time, who are just making a point to come and buy something as a way of doing that. So that is for sure happening too.
No, same. I have multiple families that come in and are like, yeah, we came last year, or maybe you remember us, we got this, or they're getting like, we're gonna all get this character now, or we're, they're having some kind of, and where I know I'll see them again also, like they're communicating that this is part of their annual thing. And I think Tillamook, as they're finding Christy, as they're finding me, as they're feeling like, oh, this is this little like maker, I mean, it just feels more of a treasure than you're like more of the type of retail environments you're traditionally finding. Back when Cannon Beach was all these, to me, more charming galleries, it had that feel that you went there and you knew that you were going to be able to maybe meet an artist, you were going to find some things. It morphed over time, but people seem excited. Like it makes Tillamook more of a treasure to them that they need to come back to, because it's not just souvenir stores and whatever, they're actually meeting artists and being able to support the arts. And I don't know, they seem to really like the community that we are starting to build.
Yeah.
I would like to chime in on that and what Season said, and have you all respond a little bit, because I'm a Portland native, and I guess I probably maybe view Tillamook from a Portland perspective. And I used to love to come out Highway 6 and go swimming on the Wilson River and come to Tillamook. And I have a couple friends who live in Tillamook. But honestly, I didn't see Tillamook as an arts community compared to some of the other towns on the coast until recently, until the last few years. And I've seen Tillamook just blossom pre-COVID. And I know the Chamber has had some influence on that. I'm sure Art Accelerated has. But so I'd like to have you all talk about that development of Tillamook as an arts community. And I'd like Christine to talk about the role of Arts Accelerated in that, and go from there.
Well, for Art Accelerated, one thing the whole reason we wanted to be in downtown Tillamook was because there were all these empty buildings, and we really wanted to see stuff happen here. We both, Dennis and I, show our work other places, but any small town, if they don't have the arts as part of their downtown, they don't flourish. You can just, I can't get over the tiny places I've gone where it's the artists that have helped rebuild the downtown and really helped it flourish. And thank goodness that Season and Christy moved into downtown Tillamook, along with Lucky Bear. it starts to have a community. In January of 2018, sorry, get stuck there. We started an art walk, and the first time we did it, or even we're talking about it, we thought there'd be 2 or 3 businesses that would want to be part of it. By the time that first art walk happened, we had 7 or 8, and I was just kind of blown away that all of these businesses wanted to be part of it. But part of it was that it was a really lousy time in Tillamook because they were redoing all the downtown streets. ODOT had this big project. Nobody was having people come in. They were willing to open their doors and have artists show their work because they wanted people to come in, and anything that would bring people was okay by them. So because of COVID, we did have to stop in March through June, but it's now back, and we plan to help keep that going. And the chamber has been good. They're doing a card right now, which they're making a point to talk about the art walk and sip and shop, and they have some other little events they're trying to put together. Yeah, I think the chamber has been really trying to help. I think Mary probably can add some stuff about North County, because you guys already have a map for the arts in your town. And we've been hoping that we would be able to do that for Tillamook as well. But now there's this grant that's coming up through Visit Tillamook, which is for marketing for Tillamook, usually in the off season, but this is a special grant where they're looking for people to act as groups, as partner together. And it kind of sounds like it'd be a great one for all the arts in Tillamook County to try to put together something that was a map that leads you through the whole county, instead of Mary and I have talked before about feeling very isolated from each other. You know, that that's the one thing we start to feel like we're part of this county, and then COVID comes along and it's like everybody's in their own little tiny space again. So it might be a way, because some places are only open certain days of the week, and some people aren't open on Mondays and others aren't. It would be great to have a map that kind of told people, well, if you're out here, these are the things you can do on this day. And not just one town, but all of us. Yeah.
It makes me think of like the wineries. If you think about wineries in Columbia Valley, and they have some of those maps, that it could be something in that kind of family where they have the days that they're open. You know, they have a little kind of key on each one for that purpose.
Yeah. Mary, did you want to add anything? Because
Well,
you guys.
I was gonna, it's so interesting to have this mix, because we have makers in this group and small shops. And I would back up what Christy and Dana have said. In Manzanita, the art gallery, such as Polaris, so that's Scott Wilson, he was shut down just like we all were, but he's having a fabulous year. And it's exactly what you're describing. We are inundated by tourists. So, you know, really our community, I don't think we've seen anything quite like this before. And we also some of our local shops are really quite wonderful, and they show local artists like Finisterre, and they're selling art. And it's exactly, someone said it earlier, and I can't remember, people feel that is a way that they can spend their money. They feel like it's going directly to an artist. They're really making a difference. So I want to really reinforce that. One of the challenges is, I listen to you, we are not quite in our central little shopping district, so we don't get that kind of walk by traffic that some of you are getting. And we're really program driven. We run 8 programs at the Hoffman Center, and we used to have an open clay studio that's
Oops.
closed.
We lost her.
Am I still there?
Try that last sentence.
We used to have an open clay studio, but it
Yeah.
is closed. All we're offering right now are kiln services, firing services. Most of our visual arts classes are closed down. Really, we can't utilize the building we used to in the way we used to. So really, the only thing we've got going that's really live. I want to just make a pitch. Come north to see. We have an incredible botanical demonstration garden called the Wonder Garden. And so that's open every day, 24 hours a day, and all the Latin names are, all the plants are identified with their Latin names. So that's a good example of, back to what you were saying, Christine, if we, we're on a map, that would be a great stop here in North County, is to see the garden and see this little town, this tiny little town.
Well, it's interesting for me looking north from Newport to Tillamook County, because Lincoln County, of course, is not gone to phase 2 yet. And I'm hearing a lot of you all that people are being receptive and engaged with the galleries and the shops. Of course, we have all the tourists, but we're not able to be open. So did you feel, I guess I would ask, did you feel, you obviously must have felt a real change once you went to phase 2. Was that a distinct development for you all?
Anyone want to talk to that?
I mean, I didn't even open until phase 2. So honestly, I can't say, some people opened in phase 1 and I didn't. So to me, it was quite different, but only because I went from literally being closed to being open. So.
Yeah.
I did more of a steady progression where, again, it was, from nothing to let people shop at delivery to open just a couple days to then, it was, so by the time we were phase 2, then it was more like normal hours that it would normally be. But yeah, with just a little more inking, working the way up. But also the web sales, my warehouse is my storefront. So no matter what, I had to be at work. And same with Christy, like that's our work, that's our space that we do everything in. So we were there, whether we were physically open or not, we were able to utilize our studios and get work done and get stuff shipped. So at least we were able to be in business in that way as well.
Dana, did you have anything you want to add?
Well, phase 2, it just got really busy. I felt there were a lot of people. When I went to the market, it was busy, and painting started to sell at the River House, and so it was a big change going from phase 1 to phase 2.
And Mary, and you guys waited until July really to open.
We thought a lot about our community. I'm sorry to say, it's a little bit kind of like a retirement community. And we wanted to be careful. We felt very responsible to be cautious. So we did wait. And we were even when we reopened the gallery, so for those of you who don't know, Christine's show was put up in March, and it sat there in this closed gallery all the way through July. But we did open, you got a couple weeks there. But we were careful, we were cautious. We didn't know how it would go. And it has turned out to be pretty safe here. We are watching the reports from the Nehalem Bay wastewater that's testing for COVID. You guys that might be happening in other communities with your sewer treatment plants, but that's a way to find out what's happening in your area. And what we are just learning, just in August, we've had 1 week where there's at least 10 cases in the area. We don't know who it is. They could be asymptomatic, but the treatment effluent is being tested. And in another week, we had up to 20 cases, and you don't know who it is. So I guess what I would just say to everyone is we need to all be careful that all this with this tourism comes risk, and we want to have a thriving economy. We want to support arts. We want to have artists succeed and be able to live here and make this, all the things that arts brings. But we are being careful, and I think we all need to just remember that.
Dennis wanted to.
Yeah, I'd like to say too, as an organization, a big majority of our volunteers and our gallery artists were, elderly, older age. So
Late 50s.
that's one of the
60s.
reasons we were thinking, that'd be, it didn't feel safe to reopen during this time, and then the reluctance to restart too. To me, it's like,
Yeah, our writers who were pulling in these great groups of people to listen to them read are in their 60s and older, and we just couldn't encourage them, and they're not jumping around saying, let's have another, reading, because they are concerned. They're in that age group that needs to be concerned, even though we don't seem to have many cases. It could be here. So
the other thing, and Christy, it's the same situation, is in our cases, we have to, even though we're at ages and health where we would be okay, if we had to quarantine or if we had to shut down, our business shuts down. Like, we are our business. So if our physical body, like if we have to suddenly be home for, even if we didn't fall super ill, it would still completely shut us down. So that's why, for us, that's why we have to be careful, even beyond being concerned about those other components. It's just our ability to function.
yeah.
I have my studio. It's like, I don't know how many of you have been in there, but it's a very small space that you can actually shop from. I'd say it's 60 square feet. It's quite small. And when you come in off the door, I've pretty much got it blocked to where that's the only space you can go to. And that's why I can only have one family unit in there at a time, or one household at a time, because you could stay 6 feet apart, but you couldn't move anywhere. So, and then I remain back, and I try not to let anybody come back into my space. And as a potter, I'm constantly washing my hands anyway, so that's nothing new for me. And I wear a mask, and I wear a new mask every day. So I wash my masks, and I always wear a new one. And and so far I've had people have been very compliant. I've only had a couple times where I had to, say, no, you have to cover your whole face with it. But it feels okay. Like, I don't feel at risk. And people are using the hand sanitizer when they touch the things, and hopefully using it on their way out as well. So yeah, we're definitely trying to keep it as safe as possible.
Yeah. Dana, do you have anything you want to add? No?
Tom, earlier you asked the question to Christine about basically Tillamook becoming more of an art scene, and you were saying, like, can you say that again? I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm just excited for Tillamook. From what I've seen in the last few years, and I know that there was a group called the TCAN Tillamook County Arts Network that seems to have evolved into the Arts Accelerated group, and I'm just excited for Tillamook before COVID. And, the downtown seems to be totally revitalized, and I think that's a lot to do with the arts. And
That helps.
So yeah, I'd like to hear you guys' perspective on that, where you see things going, and um,
Well, it might be good to just say that Seasons is the one who did, and Christy did one too for the banners that are now downtown. She was doing most of the designing on that project. So that certainly helped in the last 6 months or so. As they're getting up, we get COVID, so there's no events, but it's
They
changing.
made it look more like an active place, you know,
Yes.
a place that things happen. My biggest thing was the Art Walk banner, because to me, if I can't get signs that say Arts District, that's the second best thing. Because if you see signs that say Art Walk in a town, you assume there's art there. So
Yes.
it sort of, it equally identifies it to me as an arts district with that. And I think also the finished highway project, again, it just looking more attractive. Last year already, Christy and both had tons of people like, well, I've never stopped, but I decided to now. And you know that part of it's because that, you know, there's some flowers that like, oh, this feels more charming than it felt before. Maybe I should stop and consider it. More so than locals even were willing to reconsider it. People from out of town were happy to sort of experience it, whatever it decided to present to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I will say that it's been harder to get the locals to see downtown in this new way than, you know what I mean, than people coming from other places.
But, you know, I have to say, talking with the Pioneer Museum folks, they weren't having very good numbers before COVID, even though after this whole revamp and stuff, everybody was seeing a better, you know, more people showing up. They weren't seeing it. And now, because people couldn't go for so long and they didn't really open until August because they were waiting for the new director to come on. There are people coming in because it's been closed. Well, what's going on? You know, so all of that's good. And I'm glad that that's still happening. So.
I was gonna say, so Christine, I think you said 2019, but I think you've been doing Art Walk since 2018.
18.
Yeah, because
January.
like Tom, I'm a Portland native. It's where I grew up, and we moved out this way because of my husband getting a job out here. And I came to an art walk in March of 2018 when we moved out here. I was like, oh, Tillamook, you've got an art walk. And so I came out to the art walk and walked around and checked it out. And I was intrigued because I have been coming out here my whole life. My grandpa has had a place in Oceanside since like 1972. And this is where we always came to the beach. And I've been through Tillamook so many times, and I've seen various versions of it in that time. And so, yeah, I was shocked when I learned that it had an art walk, and I was intrigued. So it certainly made me think of Tillamook a little differently than I had before. And certainly made me more interested in having a space in town, knowing that that kind of stuff was starting to evolve down there.
And Justin, it sounds like we have a question from a viewer or comment.
Yeah. Joel is asking any thoughts on someone that does digital art. He says he lives in Eastern Oregon and his sales have been close to nothing. He does print on demand art since he does all of his art digital now.
Seasons? Anybody?
I was just trying to get over to the thing to unmute. What I would say is that it comes down to you just doing the daily work. Like, I see a lot of success from the fact that I post really regularly and do all the hashtags and do all the things and post into the local groups. And again, share, share, share. I don't spend a dime on advertising, and every single day somebody comes in and says, well, I've been following you, or I keep seeing your stuff, so here I am. Right? It really is about the daily, get up in the morning, figure out some content to post, figure out something clever to say about it, figure out what hashtags will help people find it, engage with other artists, engage with other people on there, find ways to sort of build. If you're commenting and liking with people that clearly are also actively working on there, I have lots of people that we just always respond to each other's stuff, and always, write, we heart it, we whatever. And once you kind of build enough of that, then your ranking goes up, and then just more people see your stuff. And that's honestly the way that you cannot spend a dime and make money with your art.
There you go.
Yeah, I can second that. I'm real roller coaster when it comes to social media, because sometimes I'm just buried in making and I'm just like, I don't have time for this. And then other times I'm really diligent. But I will say, when I was relying 100% on my online sales, definitely the regular posting, the building up of the anticipation. Take note, there are so many young artists that are completely only selling online, and especially through social media, and they have it dialed in. And like watching them, learning from them has been great. Like there's building anticipation, showing work in progress, having an actual like release date, a date that you're going to post things, a time that you're going to post things. And it really does kind of build up this frenzy and drive traffic to you. And I see it for sure. Like when I'm not doing it, things go down. It's very clear that does make a difference. And digital art to me seems like amazing. Like you don't have to ship it. You can, send it. From my perspective, because pottery is mine's not particularly heavy, but has to go in big boxes and all this stuff. So it seems like that could be a great art form right now. And I think too, it's helpful to follow other artists that do work like you. And I don't mean that it looks like you, but the same type of work, because they have all built an audience that appreciates that kind of work. And then as they start to see, because I do that all the time, I follow, I get online and I search on Instagram and I find people, I'm like, oh, I really like their art. And oh, they like this person. Who's this person? And then, that kind of thing. It really does create this branching network.
Also steal their hashtags.
Say that again.
Steal their hashtags. So you find another, somebody in your sort of world who's got a ton of followers and clearly has a ton of engagement. Look at the hashtags they're using. Try to figure out if some of those are things that you should bring into yours that are obviously driving some of this business that they're getting.
I will second that.
Yeah, I would also say about Tillamook County is that it is an area of discovery with a lot of smaller towns that are just so engaging, whether it's Tillamook, but also Bay City, Cloverdale, Manzanita, Nehalem, Rockaway, Wheeler, Beaver, Hebo, Cape Mears. I mean, that's the beauty of the Oregon coast, but I think in a way Tillamook County in particular, with all these small hamlets or communities, that people can discover that as they're, the tourists and the locals alike, as they're driving through. And I don't know, I just think Tillamook County is branching out beyond its agriculture and timber and fishing. It's becoming something different, I think.
Yeah.
It's also nice that I feel like it's happening really organically. So again, Portland native, but we, Christy and I talked about this early on, that we also we're just sort of converging on it. We're not like pulling each other in necessarily. There's no big sales pitch happening, but here we are. We're finding it on our own. And it also, to Christine's point, it had a lot of empty storefronts. So it also creates a lot of affordable opportunities for artists to have a space to sell their work. And if there's other nearby, people have that much more reason. If one of us gets them to stop, they're probably going to walk to the rest of us. You're not usually going to just stop for one. I mean, both of us have people that just come to us and leave, but really the majority, once they've stopped, they're going to walk around the rest of downtown and everybody benefits.
Yeah.
You know, I was just thinking, you were talking about maps earlier of physical locations. Why not have something about, you know, online locations about people from the area, like the artists or somebody might be interested in connecting with. I mean, that's what TCAN kind of did, but it's gone now.
Well, and ideally that key, like again, but the way the wineries had it, each business had, and kind of like the thing that I put together for the downtown art and gift shopping, where each listing has the address, the, you know, the best contact info, website, whatever. And that way too, if any of us are closed, they can take that home and they can look any of us up when they, you know, from wherever. Oh, that place. Oh, let's see what they have. We can order it when we, you know, not everybody wants to travel with pottery or things like that, you know, like dangerous in the suitcase. So it's good.
That's true.
Yeah, I would love to see if there are artists that have studios that they allow people to come into. I mean, thinking forward, maybe not, they don't want people in them right now, but because this is not the first time, but I normally have had a studio at home and not been in a public space. And when I travel, I do research ahead of time and I look for artists and I try to make contact, and I love to go to their studios. Like, thinking forward, if we did make some kind of county-wide arts map or whatnot, it would be nice to, yes, possibly include people who don't maybe have a physical in-town location, but who are willing to host guests in their studio location too, would be, I would think, interesting.
Yeah.
This strikes
It
me
is
as
a good
being,
idea.
this strikes me as being a perfect use of Tillamook County tourism dollars, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, it does.
When I've read the guidelines, it seems like the focus is much more on outdoor sports activities. You know, that's kind of the way Tillamook County has branded itself, as a sports county. And what we're talking about here is a really different thing. And I think I've heard the same thing about Tillamook, that it's really going places because of this resurgence. And I'd say that's happening in Nehalem too, and in Manzanita. So you can, you know, kind of see it up the coast. It'd be great to get some Tillamook County tourism dollars to help us out. I like the idea, Dennis.
So that's part of it. I wanted to say that I started hearing about people coming here after the Subaru did ads for this was, I think, in 2016, maybe I'm wrong on the year, but that people was coming here because they saw this ad, and here was this Subaru, and the guys get out and they go canoeing or kayaking right into the water. And they were like, where's this place? So they were coming through. And even in the first year of our gallery in 17, there were people that were coming in going, we had to stop. We've never seen a gallery in Tillamook. I was like, oh, okay. Well, here we are.
I get asked regularly if there are more art galleries to go to. And unfortunately, I have to say no. Like right now, I'm kind of as close as you get. And
I know.
but yes, I send them to all of our arts-based businesses in downtown. And then I'm like, and then you can go to either north or you can go south to like Pacific City. I always talk about Rowboat for sure. And certainly everyone knows about or at least I feel like everyone knows about Cannon Beach. So yes, I think that there would be a demand for it. And I think, yeah, it would be well received. It doesn't seem far-fetched to me at all to have like a fine arts gallery in downtown Tillamook somewhere.
Well, just to give a plug for the artists in Art Accelerated, we are at Roby's Furniture at this point, because we can't have, it's kind of nice because they are open almost, I think it's 7 days a week. So the art is up and we don't have to, you know, have somebody sit there, and people get to look at it.
Are you
So-
at the actual furniture, not the
Yeah.
warehousey?
No, the new furniture
it.
one on 101. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'd just like to give a shout out to Latimer Quilt Center because they have
Right.
some great art shows there, fiber-based arts. So they would definitely, I've sent different people that I've talked to Latimer, and having that map would just be so wonderful for everyone to be able to find all these unique resources that we have around here.
The quote, Latimer was asked to join us and wasn't able to, but they are open at least 2 days a week now. They're hoping to have more days, but they really felt it hard too, and are trying to get back on track as well. So anyway.
Well, maybe a way to wrap this up is that I think Justin has a couple videos that he can show people about Tillamook, art walk, and other art projects. But yeah, I think we should let people know that just yesterday, the Tillamook Chamber, along with the Tillamook Creamery, announced a new grant program. There are $200,000 available for grant funds for marketing of businesses and creative spaces in Tillamook. And that was, like I said, just announced, 2 days ago. So check that out. The Creamery and the Chamber are trying to do their part. And if anybody has any parting words, maybe we're at a point where we can wrap it up.
I think so. Thank you, Tom, for inviting us to do this. It's been a nice chance to hear from old friends that I don't get to see very often. So anywho, for me, thank you very much.
Yeah, and you can let people know that the conversation is, will be available on rebroadcast, and it's also a part of the Oregon Coast Online Art Show that you can check out as well through the Oregon Coast Council for the Arts. So thank you all for being here. Unless you have any other words, we might wrap it up.
Thank you. Thank you.
Art Accelerated is an organization that reaches out to the community with art, with a gallery, with offerings of classes, with different community events.
For me, Art Accelerated is really just a place for people in the community to get together and do art.
Art Accelerated was kind of this brainchild of longtime local artists who really wanted to see art in the heart of downtown. The vision was always to have a cooperative gallery in that space, but also start to be able to offer a place to make art And almost immediately, within the first week of getting the keys, there were art classes in place.
Art classes for children, art classes for adults.
It's a gallery, it's a workshop, it's a creative space.
I think it's changed me. It's created a pattern in my life where I'm actually working consistently rather than intermittently. It's great to have that support.
It's an organization that 100% reflects the energy and ideas of the people who come together and are at the table. But it's also full of stories about what it was like to grow up here. It's full of stories about finding peace in a crazy life of agriculture, taking a break from farming to pick up a paintbrush. Whether you're from Tillamook or whether you're passing through or new to the community, what you'll come away from at the end is a better sense of who Tillamook is, who the people are, and what the place has to offer.
It's a great place to go with other people who are interested in being creative and feed off their creativity.
There's drop-in classes available there.
Writing, painting,
Beadwork classes,
Sculpture,
sketching classes,
there's writing workshops that happen through the gallery.
printmaking,
Music, performing arts,
acrylic painting.
and an open mic night that happens once a month for musicians and writers to share.
to learning and embracing and celebrating what this community has to offer. Art is about finding out who you are and what you believe and how to be in the world. It's about compassion. And so Art Accelerated can reach people of any demographic. You don't need education in the arts or in literature to be a part of Art Accelerated. All you need is desire.
Making sure that kids are introduced to art and making sure that there's a lot of learning opportunities for children in the community, and making sure that there's availability of scholarships and access for everybody to make art.
I had the opportunity to create a mural and work with teens. They had to not only be artists, but they also had to work within a team that worked with the county and the people who are our sponsors financially, and within the means of a particular idea, which was ecology. It changed them, and they went deeper than even I could have imagined.
Art Accelerated is about respecting each individual's natural artistic vision and compelling them to do the work they're inspired to do in an environment that enhances their self-esteem. There's lots that we can do in the future, I think, to expand the offerings.
The artists have gone out of their way to connect and build relationships with other business owners. And one of the ways that that has been the most successful is through the Art Walk.
Art walks once a month, there's sip and shop once a month, there's open mics once a month. So most likely if you're in town visiting Tillamook, there's going to be something that is going on that you can participate in, or you can come and just visit and enjoy.
I hope it continues to grow and change people. I think that's the meaning of art, is to create an awareness that otherwise wouldn't be there.
And it's a resource that will make your soul grow.
Because ultimately, Art Accelerated is just a kind of manifestation of the culture of Tillamook.
Everybody has creative genius in them.
Just play, go play and do some art.
Practice any art. Music, singing, dancing, acting, drawing, painting, sculpting, poetry, fiction, essays, reportage, no matter how well or badly. Not to get money and fame, but to experience becoming, to find out what's inside you, to make your soul grow. And that's why Art Accelerated exists.